All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest. And today we are breaking down an extremely exciting matchup considered by almost everyone to be the game of the week. Big noon kickoff is in Salt Lake City for a 10 a.m. Mountain Time, local time kickoff. It is a big one. The number 16 Utah Utes going up against the number 17 Texas Tech Red Raiders in Rice Eccles. Guys, this is an exciting matchup. And if anyone has been diving into the numbers on this and analyzing this game, I think I speak for everyone involved, whether you're a Utah fan or a Texas Tech fan. Man, would it be nice if this game was happening like 3 weeks from now? Because I can tell you, the data I'm looking at shows two very good teams. Very good teams. You look at the numbers, you look at these two teams on paper, they look like some of the best teams in the country. The problem with that, and the reason I say that how great it would be if this was 3 weeks from now, is that neither team has played anyone, right? Like Wyoming was a decent squad, and I made that clear. And I think, Utah performed admirably against them. But like it's not really anything for me to check boxes off that we can do this against a high caliber team. We still need to prove that, right? Just because Wyoming was good at some aspects, it started to get us closer to checking some boxes, but we're not there yet. And Texas Tech, their schedule has been, a pretty easy cakewalk up until now. So both teams heading into this game are going to get their first real test of the season. And as I mentioned, both teams look extremely, extremely good on paper. Seriously, we're going to dive into the numbers, and I think you guys will be pretty damn impressed with what we see from these two teams. The numbers are impressive. Both teams look extremely good. Just to give you guys some things that we'll be talking about today, Baron Morton, Devin Dampier, two of the best quarterbacks in the country. Devin Dampier has been talked about as a Heisman candidate, but I think if you've been looking at Baron Morton's numbers, I think he's on that borderline being talked about as a Heisman as well. I mean, his numbers are very impressive. Then you've got the two offensive tackles for Utah and Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu going against two edge rushers that seem to be two of the best edge rushers in the country. It is so exciting, guys. It is. I'm until a few drives go, it is going to be tough to really know what to expect, but it is going to be a fun one to break down, and it's going to be a fun one to predict. But just being honest with you guys, there are so many variables, and things could go so many different ways. Again, this will be fun, guys. We're going to dive in to the offense for Utah, what they need to do to get this win, the defense for Utah, what they need to do to get this win. Then we're going to talk about what questions are or aren't answered for the teams. I'm going to give you guys as much data as I confidently can to make you feel, well informed for this matchup. I'll give some predictions, and we're going to dive into it, guys. This is going to be a fun game. I think the number one thing I'm hoping for from this video is I think a lot of people are looking forward to this weekend's game. I'm hoping after this video, you guys feel like I did after I dove into the numbers, where you're like, oh, wow, this is a really, really good matchup of two untested but super high potential teams. I can't wait to dive into it, guys. Before we do so, smash that like button. It's going to help get the video out to more Utah fans. Also, comment down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. If there's any points I don't cover, if there's anything you guys think is worth bringing up, I want to know your thoughts. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're a Utah fan and you enjoy analytical, interesting content around Utah, we do a pregame breakdown and a postgame recap of every game. And I try to be pretty detailed and give you guys some insight you might not find on other channels. So if you're into that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe, make sure you stick around. And on that note, let's go ahead and dive in and let's start talking about the game and the matchups to watch. Okay, guys, and we are going to take a look at Utah's offensive line to get things started in this matchup, because there are some exciting matchups across the board. Like I mentioned, the quarterbacks, But I think the clear standout matchup here is our highly touted offensive line against their highly touted defensive line. And we really do have a great matchup that is going to bring some real excitement here, guys. Spencer Fano, widely considered one of the best offensive tackles in the country, if not the best by some people. Now, he does have 2 penalties to start the year. You can see that on the screen here. But if you look here, guys, Spencer Fano has allowed 0 pressures. No one has gotten a pressure on Spencer Fano yet. Really impressive numbers. You look across the board here, even Caleb Lomu has only allowed 1 pressure. Noah Togiai only allowed 1 pressure. Darren Kump, I believe, is right here, and it shows 2. For some reason, my screen's being weird about showing the file. But either way, guys, we have an extremely good pass blocking offensive line. In nearly 500 snaps, we've only allowed 4 pressures. That's 2 from Darren Kump, 1 from Caleb Lomu, and 1 from Tanoa Togiai. So this is an offensive line that is coming in. Like I said, that the lean in talent is going to go to us. No one's played anyone really worth, holding up there as a great win or a real test against your talent. But it does lean to Utah a little bit. And we've only allowed a 1% pressure rate on nearly 5% or 500 snaps. That is extremely impressive. Even against the talent we face, that is a pretty ridiculous number. So I would be very excited about that. And it should have you guys feeling pretty good. Again, if there's ever any close battles, I would lean our schedule more than theirs, just a bit, not overwhelming, but lean a little towards our schedule based on where it's ranked. Now, on the opposite side of things, let's go ahead and take a look at Texas Tech's edge rushers and their D-line in general. I'm sure if you've been following the matchup, you're aware that Texas Tech is bringing a nasty pass rush. Let's go ahead and take a look at that because it is legit, guys. It is a nasty group. For them, I did 50 pass block snaps for Utah to make sure it was only the starters, but it's a little different with pass rushers because teams use a wide array of pass rushers. So I'm going to switch over to Texas Tech's pass rushers. Let's go ahead and pull them up. Okay, so taking a look here, guys. Take a look at this group. Take a good look at this group, guys. Romello Height and David Bailey being the 2 major standouts. Romello Height on 52 pass rush snaps has 14 pressures, and David Bailey on 54 pass rush snaps has 16 pressures. Again, ridiculous numbers here, guys. But what makes it even crazier, where is that number? Here it is, PRP. Now, again, Romello Height, just crazy numbers. So just to give you guys an idea what PRP is, it is combining a formula that combines sacks, hits, and hurries relative to how many times they rush the passer. So what you're getting is like a very pure number of just how deadly this guy is if he's rushing the passer. And a 30.0 PRP is incredible. John Henry Daly, for example, we'll touch on him in a bit. His number's very high. It's in the low 20s, I believe. But Romello Height, and you guys can think of how special of a season John Daly's had so far. And look at where Romello Height is. We're talking about a 30 compared to, I believe it's a 23. Again, we'll look at that when we get to our edge rushers. But guys, Romello Height, an extremely impressive player. And I think it goes without saying that him as a player is going to be a huge part of this. Now, you can see this other guy here, Cheetah Ofili. He's only got 19 pass rush snaps, so he's a weapon in the pass rush game, but I wouldn't consider him, one of their primary edge rushers. He'll be a guy to watch out for. But we take a look here, guys. Romello Height, 52 pass rush snaps, 14 pressures. David Bailey, 54 pass rush snaps, 16 pressures. This is a deadly duo, guys, that gets back there and rushes the passer. Good news for Utah. We have an offensive tackle duo that rivals just about any team I can think of. Seriously, guys, this is a mean duo, and I'm going to touch on it. Now that I've shown you their two guys, I want to talk a little bit about our guys, okay? So who are our two guys? Spencer Fano, I think most people are familiar with him, right? One of the best tackles in the country for a lot of people, and a guy that has really impressed many people and has really made a claim as one of the best offensive linemen in the country. Now let's talk about his counterpart, right? The Caleb Lomu, so the left tackle where Spencer Fano is the right tackle. So Caleb Lomu has done a great job as well. Only one pressure allowed. And just to hint back kind of what I was going at there is, I think Spencer Fano has enough of a sample size for us to feel pretty good. We've kind of watched him grow. And I think based on how much hype is around him, we should feel really good about him. And I think with Caleb Lomu, when you look at the situation there, I think we know we've got a good one. I think that is safe to say. Caleb Lomu graded out well last year, has graded out very well to start this season, and we've got a good one. Now is the time, because these guys are going to go up against two of the best pass rushers in the country, according to the numbers they've put up against not great talent. Again, it's not great talent, slight lean in talent to us. So neither group is super proven against talent, but both groups are extremely proven against the talent they've gone against. I hope that's making sense. Maybe comment down below if I'm making sense there. But it is time for Spencer Fano to show that he is really a top 15 pick, top 10 pick. It's time for him to prove that. And he's going to get an opportunity to really prove it against a nasty edge rusher duo in Texas Tech. And then it's also time for Caleb Lomu to get tested, right? Are you good? Are you average? Or are you very good? I think it's an exciting opportunity for us to see just how good Caleb Lomu is. I feel very good about our defense or our offensive interior against their defensive line. And the truth is, guys, with how we have things set up here, where our interior offensive line should win their matchups against the defensive interior for Texas Tech. Not that they're not good. You guys can go back and see the numbers. But based on how they're grading out, based on the pressures they've allowed, I think I feel really good about it. I think the major question is, can we have a one-on-one winning matchup in one of these battles? Can one of our offensive tackles go one-on-one with one of these edge rushers and win the matchup? Because if we need to, we can, have a running back help out the other offensive tackle or have a guard double team if needed. But one guy has to at least stalemate one of these guys. That is going to be important, that either Caleb Lomu or Spencer Fano can, handle his own one-on-one. He doesn't have to pummel the guy and make him look bad, but he has to do enough to win those one-on-one matchups, offensive tackle against edge rusher. Can one of them do that consistently throughout the night? I think that's going to be a big question. And I feel good about it, but it is a real test. I think you guys might be starting to feel why I'm so excited. And just to give you guys an idea, both of those edge rushers I just showed you, the one of them is number one for, a similar sample size for PRP, which is that pass rush percentage or pressure percentage. And then the other guy is number 11 for PRP in his sample size, which just means they had to have had at least 30 pass rush snaps. So it's really, and this is in Power 4. So compared to other Power 4 edge rushers, that's how those two guys are grading out. Very, very impressive. John Henry Daly's up in that mix too. He's one of the best pass rushers in the country. We'll touch on him in a second. But that's kind of the matchup, guys. Our interior offensive line looks to have a good advantage over their interior defensive line. Not that it'll be an easy matchup, but I feel good about our crew, where our offensive tackles are going to have the toughest matchup of the entire night. Anyone not talking about that, might not really understand what this game is going to come down to. And I feel so good about the team we have to stop what they're great at. But if you were a Texas Tech fan, you could make the opposite case, right? Where it's like, okay, they have two really good offensive tackles. We have two really good edge rushers, and we are going to go in there and make those offensive tackles not look good. So, guys, that is a super exciting part of this matchup to watch. Next, we'll go ahead and move into talking about the offensive line for Texas Tech against the pass rushers for Utah. Okay, guys, now we are looking at the offensive line for Texas Tech. Now, I want to be clear. The numbers we were looking at with our offensive line were extremely impressive. So I want to give some context here. You know, we're talking about a 1% pressure rate on nearly 500 snaps. So it might make what Texas Tech is doing on their offensive line a little less impressive, but don't be confused. This is still a good to very good offensive line for Texas Tech. You look here, guys, they've only allowed 12 pressures on nearly 500 snaps as well. So it's a very good group. You do look, though, they're allowing about a 3% pass rush pressure rate, where we're only allowing about a 1%. So there is a mismatch there. And if you look, their center's very, very good, only allowing one pressure. Their tackle's very, very good, only allowing one pressure. And then it kind of starts to drop off from there, right? It's going to be Will Jados, Howard Sampson, 76, 79, and then Davion Carter, number 56. They're allowing a little more, right? 3 pressures, 4 pressures. So that's a pressure a game for all those guys at least against, subpar talent. These are not good teams they're going against, and they allowed a decent amount of pressures, right? Like, just to give you guys a little bit of context here, why like a 3% is impressive. A pressure is a big deal for an offensive lineman. It means not only did you get beat, but you got beat with enough time for the guy you were going against to get back there and affect the play. And what that means is like a pressure is a sack, a hit on the quarterback, a hurry to where your guy got close enough to force a bad throw, to force your quarterback to throw it early, right? To affect things. So one pressure a game is not a great look at an individual level. Now let's go ahead and move over to who these matchups are going to be against on the Utah side of things. Obviously, we're going to have John Henry Daly. We'll touch on that right out the gate. He is going to be a big player in this game, guys. John Henry Daly has been performing as one of the best pass rushers in all of college football. Like I mentioned, for his sample size, he is a top 10 edge rusher in Power 4 football. Extremely impressive. For pass rushers, I'm going off 15 snaps minimum. That way they've gotten at least 5 snaps a game. Now, as I mentioned before, our pass rush group is looking at a 12% pressure percentage. 10 would be like a solid one. So 12% is is very good, right? It's quite above average, and it's a good group led by John Henry Daly with 14 pressures on 65 pass rush snaps. Extremely impressive. His PRP is 22.6. So he is really doing some damage on the offensive lineman he is going against. But you look here, guys, we have other guys really getting back there and making plays. If you look at the group, though, there are some great players. One guy that I think is standing out to me when I look at these numbers is Lance Holtzclaw. Lance Holtzclaw and Logan Fano. We're going to want to see something from those guys. Hopefully they're healthy. They didn't get a ton of reps recently, but on 20 pass rush snaps for Logan Fano, he has 3 pressures. So he's at about a 15% pass rush win percent or pressure rate. And then we've got Lance Holtzclaw on 34 pass rush snaps. He's at a 6 pressures. So he's close to 20%. So those are 2 guys that stand out to me that hopefully can get back there and make an impact. Paul Fitzgerald also looks really good. Let's scroll over here to PRP. It'll help us get a decent idea. Yes, Carson Kafusi's also had a decent start to the year. 25 pass rush snaps, 2 pressures. Paul Fitzgerald, 3 pressures on 32 pass rush snaps. So we're well diversified. We have a lot of guys that can make impact if we need them to. And if you look, guys, you saw their offensive line. It wasn't a bad group. It was a good group. They had a very good center and one very good tackle. Now you look at this, maybe their tackle is good enough to go toe-to-toe all night with John Henry Daly. That's a possibility, right? This is not a bad tackle. This is a good offensive tackle. And maybe their center's good enough to go one-on-one with Carson Kafusi and, really maintain him for the night. But look elsewhere, guys. Are they also going to contain Cash Dillon? Are they also going to contain Lance Holtzclaw, Logan Fano, Paul Fitzgerald, Jonathan Hall, Lander Barton? You look at this group, guys. This team has a wide variety of weapons that we can use to attack. And an offensive line is going to have some troubles against this. And they have 3 offensive linemen that have each allowed 1 pressure per game or more to start the season. I expect some of these other pass rushers to have a night. I can guarantee you we're going to get creative. We're going to find ways to get John Henry Daly in there and let him make plays. If he can win the matchup against their good offensive tackle, or if he's going against their not so good offensive tackle and can just get back there and cause havoc, that's a big deal, guys. We're going to dive into the actual quarterback matchups and the passing game for both teams and all that stuff. Getting back there and affecting these passers is going to be important for both teams, not just Utah, not just Texas Tech. These are 2 deadly offenses, and getting back there when the quarterbacks have to throw and creating some havoc will be a big deal. So those are the matchups, guys. Just to kind of recap what we talked about here, Utah's offensive line against Texas Tech's defensive line is elite against elite, right? Like, for the sample sizes they have faced, or in the talent they've gotten to go up against, you couldn't ask for a better performance from either one. Just being straight up honest about that. Utah's pass blocking has been immaculate, and Texas Tech's pressure rate has been insane, right? This is a really interesting matchup, right? Both teams probably feel very good that if they come to the table with what they're capable of doing, that they can come out there and dominate this matchup. That's a really interesting one. Now, on the other end, you've got Texas Tech's offensive line against Utah's defensive front, right? And with Utah's defensive front, they're not quite at the elite level overall that Texas Tech is for their defensive front. But really, I mean, we're talking about 12% to 14%, pretty damn close. So I'd say Utah's got a good to very good defensive front when it comes to rushing the passer. And to be fair, I do think they have an edge over Texas Tech's offensive line when it comes to them trying to pass block against them. I would still put Texas Tech's offensive line in the above average to good category. I think with both of these matchups, the offensive line and defensive fronts for both groups when it comes to pass blocking, the test is really going to be in the what do you look like against good talent? That's the matchup here, guys, is who are any of these groups frauds? Are Utah's offensive tackles not as good as they've been made out to be? Are Texas Tech's edge rushers feasting on the weak and maybe not as talented as they've shown so far? Vice versa. Is John Henry Daly just eating against, subpar teams? Is Texas Tech's offensive line only able to perform at this level against subpar teams? A lot of interesting matchups, guys, but that's the offensive line and defensive fronts in the pass rush game as we head into this weekend's matchup. The key to watch Utah's offensive line versus Texas Tech's defensive front. Should be a good one. Next, we're going to move on to the quarterbacks. All right, guys, now we are looking at the 2 quarterbacks for Utah and Texas Tech. And again, guys, these are 2 Heisman caliber contenders to start the year. Devin Dampier's name's been actively mentioned in the Heisman race. I believe he's number 6 average at the time of this video. But don't act like Baron Morton is not holding his own in that category. he is probably just outside of that top 10 conversation. His numbers are extremely impressive. Let's dive in, guys. Let's take a look at these two very, very impressive players. Again, both of them, you wish this was happening 3 weeks from now so you'd have a better idea of what we're looking at. Both of them pretty untested, again, based on the talent they've gone against, but both have looked very, very good for the sample they've gotten to go up against. So, taking a look here, guys, Devin Dampier, it's all about efficiency. It's all about efficiency, running the offense, keeping things on schedule. You can see here 99 dropbacks, 88 attempts, 64 completions, 72.7 completion percentage. Very, very good there. 631 yards to start the year. Not a ton of yards, but the reason for that is, they blew out Cal Poly. It was a FCS game. And then in the other two games, Utah was, well ahead, pretty, mid third quarter, they had kind of pulled away. Wyoming, it took a little bit, but by the fourth quarter, we were, we had the game pretty much in hand and we weren't throwing a ton. So I don't look at his total yards as a sign of concern. But then you look here, guys, 7 touchdowns, 0 INTs. And I'm going to point out a number over here. Big time throws, 2, and turnover worthy plays, 1. So pretty self-explanatory, but I'll explain it if you're new here. Big time throws are a play that should be worthy of 20 plus yard gains or a touchdown, something like that. It's a big impact play, like an impressive throw or an impressive run, something like that. Where a turnover worthy play is something, whether it was a turnover or not, should have been a turnover. If someone had made a play, it would have been a turnover. So the reason I point that out, guys, is he has 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but only 2 big time throws and only 1 turnover worthy play. What that tells me, it goes back to his completion percentage. Devin Dampier is extremely efficient. Just so we're all on the same page, those numbers are very impressive. 7 touchdowns, 0 picks, nearly 73 completion percentage. I mean, this guy is running this offense like a seasoned veteran. He is looking very strong throwing the ball to start the year, very poised. Let's also talk about his rushing ability, guys. Devin Dampier is not just a weapon through the air or, with his arm. He is also a weapon on the ground. He can tear up your defense with his feet. So let's go 15. So that should just put us with Dampier. Oh, maybe let's go a little lower. I don't know why it does that weird thing. Okay, anyways, let's just go with Dampier. So he's at the top there. So take a look here, right? On top of his 631 passing yards, he has 203 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble. And this is pretty impressive for a quarterback. Yards after contact per attempt, he's at 2.45, which is kind of unheard of for a quarterback. He has 5 runs of 10 plus yards, so big play runs, and has looked like a dominant player to start the year. 31 rushing attempts, 203 rushing yards to start the year. And again, a lot of these games we were up pretty reasonably into the game. So third quarter-ish, we got a decent lead. We're not going to risk things and start running Devin Dampier. So he's running a little over 10 carries a game, looking at about 6.5 yards a carry. So very deadly runner. Don't be shocked to see him hit that 15 to 20 carry range if this game is close late in the game. We are going to want to, these are the type of matchups where if you need to put him on the line and run the risk of hurting him. I mean, not that obviously I wouldn't want him to get hurt, but it's like, this is when you do it. This is the type of matchup we are going to see what this team is capable of for both sides. So Devin Dampier, expect him to run the ball a lot, expect him to throw the ball a lot, and he is a deadly weapon. You look overall, he's over 800 yards in total, guys. 834 yards, if I'm correct there. So he is a deadly player. That is a lot of yards per game. We're talking about nearly 300 yards per game. Now let's move over to Baron Morton. And as many great things as I've been saying about Devin Dampier, the same can be said about Baron Morton. I don't know if I said Devin Morton. So moving over to Baron Morton. I don't know why that's happening. Okay, so Baron Morton, guys, 85 dropbacks, 82 pass attempts, 57 completions, 923 yards, over 300 yards through the air a game, and even more impressive, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. You look over here, 6 big time throws, and only 1 turnover worthy play. Baron Morton, against the teams he has gone against, looks like an elite Heisman level quarterback. Again, neither group has been tested by a great team, but you can only play the teams you line up against. And when Baron Morton has lined up against subpar talent, he has made them look well under subpar, right? He has made them look bad. 86 passing grade, 70% completion percentage, basically 6-1 big time throw to turnover worthy play ratio. Very, very impressive stuff here from Baron Morton. Looking like a guy that can be a real contender. Both sides, we've got nasty quarterbacks. Baron Morton, not as much a weapon with his feet as Devin Dampier is, but both quarterbacks. I mean, this is one of the big stories. I feel like this is something. I think the matchup everyone's focused on, if you're, an analytical guy and you saw the matchup of the offensive tackles versus the edge rusher, it's hard not to make your mind go there. But damn, is it not an exciting matchup to have Baron Morton going against Devin Dampier? Two clear top 15 quarterbacks, if not two clear top 10, top 5 quarterbacks in the season right now at this moment, right? That's what we're talking about. Someone is going to leave this game with a ton of hype around them. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Utah's Devin Dampier or Texas Tech's Baron Morton? I'm just as excited as you guys to find out. So that's the quarterback matchup. Let's go. Let's keep moving here and go to the next matchup. All right, guys. Now we are looking at the receiving weapons going up against, to complement the passing game. We've got Devin Dampier and Baron Morton, but now we're going to be looking at the receiving weapons for both quarterbacks and the DBs on the opposite side, the coverage on the opposite defense, how they look to fare against them. So I'm going to point it out right away. Texas Tech looks to have some guys that can get it done when it comes to receiving. You look here, Coy Eakin, 15 targets, 12 catches, 80% reception percentage, 3 touchdowns, 88.7 offensive grade, extremely efficient player. Very impressed with these numbers. You look over here, guys, we can scroll to the right a little. Where is that number? Yak per reception. So that means he is at 8.8 yards after the catch per reception. That is crazy. And if you look, guys, a lot of their high target guys are, are ordered by targets. So you've got guys each with 12 plus targets that are looking at crazy yak. I mean, look at this, guys. 15.8 yak per reception. That means he is catching the ball and going for 15.8 yards after the catch. Now, this is their running back, their pass catcher, but he runs the ball as well. 15.8, damn. And then we got 10.6 here, 9 here, 8.8 here. It is a nasty group after the catch here, guys. I actually like how that looks for this Utah team, right? Because the game is going to be making sure we don't miss tackles after the catch. Easier said than done, because they do seem to be very good at making you miss after they catch the ball. But I'd say for a Utah team, that is the type of style we do well against, right? Like, make us try to beat us with toughness, because that's what we're talking about there, right? Missing tackles, making plays after the catch. That's the type of stuff that we tend to do well at muting and toning down. Then we've got Reggie Virgil here, guys. Basically nothing after the catch, averaging 12.3 yards per reception, yeah, like I said, basically nothing after the catch. We're talking about 1.9 yards. So he's basically, all about all about catching it and then getting tackled. So he's getting first downs, but catching it and then getting tackled. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see here he has 7 first downs. Damn, they've got quite the receiving core here, guys, with that running back. They've got a tight end in Terrence Carter Jr. I mean, you can already see what the matchup's going to be, right? Can someone go toe-to-toe with Reggie Virgil all night and really lock him down? But then after that, it's okay, we are going to get opportunities in the open space to make one-on-one tackles. Can we make them? Right? That yak per reception tells me everything I need to know. That number is ridiculous. That many players with that many yards after the catch per reception. We are going to have to tackle and tackle well to beat this team. I like that matchup. Let's go ahead and take a look at our DBs that I'll be honest with you guys have been a little underwhelming to start the year. So let's go ahead and take a look here. I'm not going to show edge rushers or defensive interior. We'll just show linebackers, cornerbacks, and safety. I would just pull up their coverage, but I don't feel like that is the way to do this right at the moment, because we don't want to do that, because these guys aren't just making plays against coverage. Their defense is making plays against defenders, right? So how do we fare in that game? Well, good news right out the gate. A lot of our guys that do have a lot of snaps, they're going to be having to handle this, like Smith Snowden, Blake Cotton, Lander Barton, right? These are the guys, Elijah Davis. Those are the guys that are going to have to make a lot of those tackles. Very high tackling grades, right? So be in a position to make the tackle. Don't let them get by you and make the play. Now, we've got other guys that are concerns here. Nate Ritchie, 41.9 tackling grade. Might be one of the lowest grades I've seen over that big of a sample size for a Utah player since I've been doing this. And we've got some guys with below average, right? 58.3. Levani Damuni, I'm shocked that number's so low because he has looked great tackling to start the year. Does he have a bunch of missed tackles? Like, what's going on there? But you look, guys, our corners, Blake Cotton and Smith Snowden, no missed tackles, right? That's very, very good to see, especially heading into this matchup. And then you've got Elijah Davis as well, only at 8.3 missed tackle percentage. Lander Barton under 8%, 7.7%. So very strong there. Tao Johnson, Nate Ritchie, even, Jackson Benet here, some struggling with the missed tackles. So hopefully they can get that fixed up. I would imagine this is a week where Coach Witt is, actually tackling in practice. I know sometimes he's strayed away from it to avoid injury, but I do look at that and I see that is a worthwhile task this week. I mean, to me, the matchup of the Texas Tech offense against this Utah defense when it comes to throwing the ball is going to be all about, can we tackle in the open space? They're going to get guys open short and they're going to get them the ball. Can we make plays in the open space? Can we tackle them in the open field? And just looking at this, that is going to be one of the huge keys to the game. The good thing for us guys is our corners really do tackle well. Like, I'm not saying our corners are perfect. If anyone is critical of our corners, is me. Like Elijah Davis, we got some problems here, right? But tackling is not a problem for him. 71.1 tackling grade. Is it against Wyoming? He looked awesome. He had 6 tackles against Wyoming. Then you've got guys like Blake Cotton, Smith Snowden. They also look, quite good tackling. So I think that's a good sign for us. And, put Lander Barton on their tight end and let's take this baby home. Okay, next let's move on to the receivers for Utah and talk about what we are going to be trying to do. And there's been a lot of people that have been really critical of this Utah passing game, saying they wish it was more explosive, this and that. And just so you guys know, this is only looking at receiving weapons that have at least 3 targets on the season for both teams, just because I think under that is just a little, it's hard to factor them in. Even the guys that have 3, it's hard to factor them in a ton. Okay. So taking a look here, we've got some guys that are grading out quite well. Hunter Andrews has come on like an animal, right? 8 targets, 8 receptions, 8 yards per catch, basically 84.9 grade. And you look here, guys, 7.6 yards after the catch. So he is basically catching all of his passes at the line and turning them upfield. Depth of target is 0.3 yards. So he is just making plays. Once he gets the ball in his hand, they scheme him to get him the ball, and then he just runs like a madman and runs some people over, makes a play. Then we've got Ryan Davis, okay? Ryan Davis is going to be a key to this game. He has come on as a clear number 1 wide receiver for us. He has 10 more targets than anyone else on the offense, 24 targets, 19 receptions, catching nearly 80% of his targets and getting 9.1 yards per catch. Now with him, only 2.4 of his yards are coming after the catch, which is kind of a good thing, right? That means he's getting open downfield, he's making plays, and for a guy to catch that high of a percentage, right, at nearly 80%, and to have his average depth of target be as high as it must be, it's what, 7.8. So not crazy high, but like reasonably high to have that high of a catch percentage. Good look for Utah. So hopefully Ryan Davis is going to be able to get open against these guys. And we've got Dallin Bentley, 14 targets, 11 receptions, kind of the unspoken hero here. I haven't had a ton of focus on Dallin Bentley, 113 yards. Looking at yak per reception, only 3.2 as well. So he's getting open, making plays. Looking at nearly 11 yards average depth of target. Had 5 contested catch opportunities, caught 2 of them, 6 first downs. And for Ryan Davis, we've got 10 first downs. So Ryan Davis is moving the chains. Tobias Merriweather, a bit of a disappointing start here. 10 targets, 5 receptions. How many drops he's had? I know he had 1 drop on the year. Still only 1 drop. But you can look here, guys. He had quite an underwhelming game against Wyoming. No contested catch opportunities. 5 yards or yak per reception. So definitely not like a bust or anything like that, but let's hope he can get more involved. He has nearly 100 yards in the season. Let's hope this is an opportunity for him to get out there and get a little more involved on the offense. JJ Buchanan, not grading out super well. Kid, funny enough, went to my high school, Coronado High School in Las Vegas. He came on the channel, did an interview, small world. Good to have him on. He caught an awesome fade route. I mean, I guess you could call it a fade. It was like a back shoulder throw. It was really a nice connection between him and Dampier. JJ Buchanan, yak per reception, 4 yards, yak per reception, average depth of target, 10.1. He has 1 drop and then 2 first downs. He also had that nice touchdown. This is only touchdown of the year. And then you've got Wayshawn Parker catching some passes as well. 3 catches, 61 yards. He had 1 giant catch that affects that number a lot. Outside of that, hasn't been much of a factor in the passing game. And then you got Larry Simmons here. I can't see the exact number, but not a ton of yards. He does have a touchdown, though. He caught that scramble touchdown where Devin Dampier fumbled and then picked it back up and threw the touchdown. That was pretty awesome. Okay, now let's take a look at the defense that's going to be covering these guys. Okay, so who is going to be going toe-to-toe with this receiving core and trying to stop them? Not an easy task, not an easy thing to get done. But I'd say Utah's receiving core looks solid, but not anything that if I was the opposing defense that I'd be like, how are we going to stop them? It's more like, okay, they look good, but how good are they really? Or do we have the guys to stop them? So looking at minimum snaps, guys, let's go ahead and turn this up to 15. So 15. The good thing for us, guys, is we got a lot of ways to attack them, right? We got a monster that can get you with yards after the catch in Hunter Andrews. We've got Dallin Bentley, who's really good at getting open at the tight end position. And then we've got Ryan Davis, which is a guy that's really good at getting open and not as much an after the catch weapon. So you look here, though, guys. I mean, we're talking about a good group here. Let's actually switch to coverage snaps with this. No, we don't need to switch to coverage snaps. We'll just get rid of edge rushers and defensive interior because we're looking at guys that will be going against these linebackers and and I mean going against the tight ends and the receivers. So you take a look here, guys. They've got some studs. I mean, this linebacker here, Jacob Rodriguez, 90.7 defensive grade. He has been targeted 4 times, only allowed 2 catches for 34 yards in the entire season. He has 1 pass breakup. Bryce Pollock, this guy's got a 73.6 grade at cornerback. He has been targeted 16 times, only allowed 8 receptions, 8 receptions, 2 interceptions on the year. So pretty impressive player there. I mean, it's a good crew here, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. They don't have a lot of weaknesses. This safety here doesn't look super good, but he also he's not one of their primary safeties. He gets a lot of reps. I'm guessing he plays a lot of nickel, that sort of deal. I mean, it looks like a good crew here, guys. I feel like looking at this, when it comes to our passing game against their passing defense, I probably, just looking at the numbers here, give a little bit of a lean to their pass defense. I mean, this looks like a good crew here, guys. It's a good crew with a lot of them having pretty good coverage grades. As you get a little deeper down the line, with these guys have 31-40 snaps, some liabilities here, but outside their starting crew looks pretty damn good. A lot of good corners. They got 4 corners to rotate in and out quite a bit. So good looking group there. I'll give the edge to Texas Tech on that one. So that is the receiving cores against the defensive backs and linebackers for the Texas Tech Utah matchup. And stick around for the next matchup. Okay, guys, now we are taking a look at the rushing attacks for both teams. For the rushing attack for Utah, it's a deep group that a lot of different players have gotten carries throughout the year. You can kind of cross off Racing Guillory, but he's in there. He's only got 1 carry on the year. But you can see we got a lot of different guys that have 7+ carries, a lot that have 10+ carries. And it's a talented group. I mean, we are averaging right at about 5.9 yards per carry. Again, a very talented group that has gone against some teams that have really sold out to stop the run. A couple shout outs again. Hunter Andrews, like I mentioned, he is a threat with the dump off passes that turn him upfield and make plays, but he's also got 108 yards on the ground. He is kind of a tight end running back hybrid. And we've got Nate Johnson. He's got 13 carries on the year for 74 yards, a bit of a gadget player for us, very explosive track star type of deal. Wayshawn Parker, extremely physical runner, has 26 carries in the year. Expect him to get some more carries if we're running the ball well in this game, because he is a very physical runner. And if it's working, a lot of people are asking why he's not getting more carries. I think part of it is you don't run high potential running backs into the ground early in the year unless you have to. And this could be a game where it's like, all right, Wayshawn, it's time to get 15, 20 carries this game. We're going to pound the rock and we need you to get it done. So don't be shocked. I mean, he's averaging 7.4 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, 1 fumble. Very impressive runner to start the year. Devin Dampier, our leading rusher on the year, 200 yards. We talked about him earlier. I expect him to get about 15 touches of the ball this game. Nakari Rogers, guy, don't let the low yards per attempt fool you. A lot of his game is short yardage and end zone. You can see there he has 4 touchdowns. So he is a bruiser of a running back that also has that big playmaker ability. You can see here as long as 23 yards. So he is making plays. He has 16 carries of 10+ yards. No one else even has 10. So do not think he is just a bruiser. He is a playmaker and a very talented running back with 17 first downs. So expect him to be a weapon. Now, talking about the defense for Texas Tech, we'll go ahead and pull up their defensive grades. We'll add in the edge rushers and the defensive interior. They've got a good group when it comes to stopping the run. Their yards per rush allowed is extremely impressive. Against FBS teams, they're only allowing 1.3 yards per carry. Now, I think this is a matchup to watch here, guys. We have a Utah team that is extremely well versed in running the ball. Year after year, we get it done against some of the best teams in the country. And then we have a Texas Tech team that, against a pretty easy schedule, is doing 1.3 yards per carry allowed, which is ridiculous. I believe it was number 2 in the country, like a crazy number. And so who's legit here? That's the real question. Like, how good is Utah's running game, and how good is Texas Tech's run defense game? Because again, no one's played real talent to test it, and Utah has been in situations where we've been running the ball pretty, effectively but safe, and we haven't had a situation where we had to like catch back up in games. I think that's a factor when you look at that 5.9 yards per carry. But a 5.9 yards is a really good number. 1.3 is an extremely good number. So I'm very interested in seeing how this goes. This is kind of an unspoken matchup that we'll be keeping an eye out for. But you can see here a lot of their players have stops, and stops are neutral or negative plays for the offense. We got a guy with 10 stops, guy with 8 stops, guy with 7 stops. So these guys get back there. They cause negative plays. I'm sure there's a lot of tackles for losses here, right? That are a part of why their 1.3 yards per carry allowed is, it's a staggering number. It's very impressive. Now let's go ahead and move on to the rushing attack for Texas Tech. I'm not going to do a minimum. We'll just do we'll just add in all their players. Okay. And so for Texas Tech, they are averaging a little over 5.5 yards per carry, right around there. So pretty impressive rushing team. You can see here, they've got this guy here, Dickey. Where is he? Okay, yeah, Dickey, 4.5 yards a carry. He's kind of their bell cow, 38 carries. The other guys get involved, but he's got 172 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 fumble. He's kind of similar to Nakari Rogers, right? I'm guessing he's their goal line guy. I'm guessing he's their short yardage guy, just looking at those numbers, that many carries with a little bit of a lower yards per carry. Then you've got these two, Jacoby Williams. He is their pass catcher, very deadly receiving running back. We're going to want to keep an eye on this guy. 2 touchdowns to the ground as well, though, and 155 yards, 5.7 yards a carry. He is a deadly player. Adam Hill, maybe even deadlier, 24 carries, 207 yards, 8.6 yards a carry. And then Will Hammond, 9 carries, 106 yards, 11.8 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. I mean, this is a deadly rushing attack here, guys. Good thing is Utah's got a very serviceable run defense to start the year. I think it's something I questioned last week. How good is it really? We're allowing 3.4 yards a carry, which is good. It's not like elite, but it is good. And when I see that number, what strikes in my mind immediately, right, at 3.4 yards a carry, is just the end of that Wyoming game. It's really rare when you're up on a team and they start running the ball. That's not usually how it works. Because you're playing bend, don't break, so you're giving them a lot of the underneath stuff, which opens up the run game. And that's kind of what happened against Wyoming. And they started gashing us for some pretty big runs. I didn't like what I saw. I think it did leave me feeling somewhat susceptible in the run game. But it also, I would say that number for us in FBS play that we're allowing 3.4 yards a carry is a little exaggerated. I think if you take out some of those big gash runs when we were playing bend don't break against Wyoming, we'd be looking at more like 2.5. So I think this is another good matchup for us. We year in year out have a really good rushing defense, but this is a really good rushing attack, and a team that can hit you in so many different ways, like Texas Tech, with this rushing attack can be very deadly. Let's go ahead and see how our defense looks compared to them. Taking a look at Utah, let's switch over to defense. Boom. Let's go to run defense. All right. So I'll go minimum run defense snaps, let's say 15. So that means they've gotten at least an average of 5 run defense snaps in each game so far. Maybe let's turn that up a little bit. Seems like too many guys. Let's go 25. Yeah, it's probably going to change that number a lot. Yeah. Oh, still a ton of guys. Jeez. All right. Well, There you go. It looks like we rotate a lot of guys in on probably first down because no one has a ton. I mean, I guess these guys do have a lot of run defense snaps, but we rotate a lot of guys in here. I have Texas Tech and Utah checked off. That's why it's looking so ridiculous. I was a little shocked there. Take off Texas Tech. Okay, cool. So now I have Cincinnati checked for some reason. Okay, so just looking at Utah. Okay, so Teo Johnson leading the way. Did struggle with tackling. I pointed that out, but actual run defense does look very good. You look at him here, he has 2 stops, so not a super high stop percentage, but he's a safety, so you don't expect it. Nate Ritchie, 2 stops as well, but does struggle against the run and struggles tackling. Nate Ritchie struggling quite a bit overall to start the year. Hopefully we see him bounce back. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. But I also don't think Nate Ritchie is the star that a lot of people hoped he would be. I think he can be a serviceable safety, though. And you take a look here, guys. Jonah Laea looking very strong against the run, a 7.4% stop percentage from the defensive interior spot. That's a very strong number. Looking at guys based on stop percentage, Paul Fitzgerald, 15.6 stop percentage. That's a really strong number. Cash Dillon, 14.3 stop percentage. And John Henry Daly, 13.6 stop percentage. What I love there, guys, is those are all edge rushers, which means we can load the box, get them to try to bounce it outside, and our edge rushers will take them down and cause negative plays. It's a really good sign for us. And you look at missed tackle percentages, guys. Nate Ritchie struggling quite a bit. Levani DeMooney not looking great. But outside of that, it looks very good for missed tackles. Lander just, we're talking about 1 missed tackle here. And then the rest of these guys all tackling with basically no missed tackles. Really good sign there for us. So like to see that. I think looking at those numbers, it makes me feel really good that even though they have a very, very good rushing attack, look at our run defense grades for all of our guys that get a lot of snaps. And you look at these stop percentages, I think a lot of these guys are very impressive. I mean, you see how many guys we had in the 12 to 15% stop percentage range, and they're all edge rushers that can come in, make plays when they try to bounce it outside, and that gives you the ability to load up the box, force them to take it outside, and let your edge rushers make plays. So pretty impressed with what I saw there. Stick around, guys. I'm going to give you guys my final predictions and my thoughts as we close this thing out. Okay, so what a matchup, guys. I think you guys are probably as excited as I am after watching that. I don't know if it's excitement mixed with nervousness. I mean, if you're a fan that just likes seeing your team go into easy to win matchups, maybe this isn't as exciting to you, but to me it is like, okay, kind of a win-win, right? Where like if we beat this team, it's a big win. If we lose this team, it's still early in the year and we can start working on stuff. I think we got a really good shot, guys. It's in Rice Eccles. They do look like a very good team, though. I gotta tell you guys, but this is one of those matchups. I would compare it to like USC a few years ago, right? And I think 2022, when those USC games, right? We beat them in the regular season, then beat them for the conference championship. You were just on the edge of your seat heading into those games, just knowing they were a very good team, just super excited to see if you could get it done, if the Utes could get it done. So that's kind of how I'm feeling heading into this game. Just to recap, the clear matchups are that our 2 offensive tackles against their really good edge rushers, our quarterback against their quarterback, Devin Dampier against Baron Morton, 2 Heisman performing quarterbacks as of right now. That could really put themselves in a strong spot on that national race if they do a good job in this game. We've also got their, above average to good offensive line against our good to very good defensive front. Should be quite a matchup here, guys. Should be quite a matchup here. I'm very excited. We also took a look at their receiving core versus RDBs. I think at the surface level, just referencing back to that, you saw their receivers did look a lot better yardage-wise, reception-wise compared to RDBs. When you dove a little deeper and you realized how they were getting the yards, I think we fare a little better, right? They're getting the yards after the catch. That's where almost all the yards are coming from. And so if our guys can just do a good job tackling in the open space, which our corners actually all grade out well. Blake Cotton, Smith Snowden, and Elijah Davis are all very good tacklers. So they match up well with this group. Now, again, you can't be letting guys get wide open. You're still going to have to cover reasonably well, but it's a good matchup. I'd still say they have quite the receiving core, and it's not going to be an easy day. We're going to get tested, but if it's going to be tested, I'd like us to be tested in the hey, make us miss a tackle type of deal, because that's something that's a type of test we do pretty well against. We've got a good cheat code for that test. So I think that's a good matchup. I think they have a really good defense when it comes to stopping the pass. I don't think there's any getting around that. A lot of guys getting in, a lot of guys that graded out well. We have a good passing game, but definitely some concerns there if we have to pass. We do a really good job of scheming guys open. Hunter Andrews grading out extremely well, looking extremely deadly, especially last week. So I don't feel terrible about it. Ryan Davis is getting open a lot. Dallin Bentley's getting open a lot. So feel decent, but definitely that's, I think just looking at things, if it became a shootout type of game and you're Texas Tech, that's what you would want, right? Like just looking at the matchups, like if it's like a high pace, fast game that benefits Texas Tech, and also being honest with you, kind of referencing their run game looks like it could be very deadly. I mean, their three-headed monster is very reminiscent of what we have in the rushing game, and they can be good receivers. I mean, we are going to have our work cut out for us with this team. Again, we played a slightly tougher schedule than them, but the real story is that neither team has played a schedule that really has shown your flaws or your successes and your positives against good talent. Can you get it done against good talent? That is the question here. So now let's talk prediction. What are my final thoughts? How do I think this game goes? Before I give you guys my prediction, please like the video. That's going to help get it out to more Utah and Texas Tech fans. Also, comment down below. I want to know what you guys think. Who's going to win this game? How's it going to go down? I want to know your thoughts. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We put out a ton of Utah football content, so if that's your thing, make sure you stick around. I mean, we do a post-game and a pre-game breakdown. A lot of analytics here. I'm sure this video kind of proved that for you. It's what we're good at is analytics, deep dives, and really breaking down all the numbers to where you just feel confused at the end of it. So that's what you're into. Make sure you stick around and subscribe. Okay, final thoughts, final prediction, guys. This is a tough one. This is one that really is going to come down to once we're on the field together, who looks good against other good talent. Because as I've mentioned 20 times in the video, we just don't know yet for either team. They're going to score. That's my thought is, I mean, Texas Tech has a really explosive rushing game and a really explosive passing game. If you're thinking we are going to shut this team down and hold them to 10 points or something, I just don't see that happening. Right? I think their offense passing wise is going to be similar to our offense rushing wise, where we kind of like wear teams down and then start to break big runs away towards the end of the game. I think that's what we're going to see is them, maybe not being as explosive with the passing game early on because they're not breaking a lot of tackles. But as the game gets going, that's what they're good at, right? Is catching short passes, breaking a tackle, making a play, and then they're going to start getting more explosive. Now, us doing a good job of containing that is so important because I can tell you guys, if they start gashing us with the passing game, this running game is averaging, well into 5 yards a carry, again, against lesser talent. But if they have the lanes and their passing game is opening up their ability to, make plays, that's going to be a problem for us, guys. And they are going to put up points. They're going to make big plays. Now, on the other end, the huge matchup that sticks out to me is going to be our rushing game against their rushing defense. Our rushing attack is so key to us winning this game, keeping time of possession, controlling the clock, and, just running it in our style of football, our tempo. And they're only allowing 1.3 yards a carry. That's got to be at least somewhat legit, right? Like maybe against better talent, that would be more in the world of 3 yards a carry, but they do seem to be a good rushing defense. Now, the great thing for us is this offense is being run by a guy that knows the offense, and Jason Beck, the coordinator, and his quarterback from New Mexico. It's a seasoned crew that knows this so well. And we manufacture guys open. It's not like we're asking Devin Dampier to make all these plays. And Devin Dampier looks really confident. He can make extra plays with his feet. He's an extra weapon they have to account for. The other question, can our offensive tackles lock down these edge rushers? And I don't think they're going to lock down the edge rushers. I don't think it's going to be just a dominant night. The edge rushers don't do anything. Can one of our offensive tackles lock down their guy, at least consistently win the matchup, right? He doesn't have to lock him down all night, but do a good job, right? Maybe one pressure, maybe two pressures throughout the night against your guy. Because if you could do that, and if both guys do that, it gives our passing game a huge advantage. If each guy's only allowing one, maybe two pressures throughout the entire night, that's a really good sign for how this game goes, because those edge rushers can be a huge impact. And I think if we can lock those guys down, it's going to be a big one. And then also on the opposite side, Baron Morton, we went over all this stuff, guys. This is a deadly passing offense. I think there's no getting around that. Can John Henry Daly, Cash Dillon, Paul Fitzgerald, Logan Fano, Lance Holtzclaw, nasty group of edge rushers, can they get back there and cause some havoc? Keep Baron Morton off balance. I think our defensive front has a clear edge over the offensive line for Texas Tech. Now, can we do that on the field? That's a question, right? That's easier said than done. This is quite a matchup, guys. This is so much of good on good. They have a great run game. We have a great run defense. At least historically, we haven't really had to show it to start the year, and we've had some spots that looked a little susceptible last week against Wyoming. They've got a great pass game that relies on breaking tackles after the catch. We've got a great pass defense when it comes to making tackles on the guys once they catch the ball. We've got an offense that can hit you in so many ways. I really think that our offense, the way it runs, does well against this type of team. Now, if their edge rushers start dominating their matchups, there's only so much you can do. But I don't see them just dominating. I think there'll be plays that they blow up and they make a play on, but I don't think they're going to just bully us or something like that. So I feel good there. But guys, this is going to be quite a matchup. This is how I see the game going. I think it's going to be a slugfest, and both teams vying for position. I see this being the type of game that can go into overtime, that can really be a barn burner. It can really be a nasty matchup. I think they're going to score. I think our defense is really going to get tested, and our offense's ability to do this smooth, steady play after play, drive after drive, mechanical-like system that we've seen so far this season will be tested too. What happens when their edge rushers blow up a couple plays, right? What happens when all of a sudden it's 2nd and 17 because their guy got back there, right? How does our offense look then? These are real questions that haven't been answered yet. So at the end of the day, how I'm seeing this is I really see our offense slowly, mechanically working the ball. Our offenses are going to be actually kind of similar from different ways of doing it, but very similar, where it's, get it to the guy, let him make a play. Get it to the guy, let him make a play. I mean, that's what their air raid style offense does for Texas Tech. And I think we're going to have a slugfest here, guys, where our defense is going to be tested. Their defense is going to be tested. I could see it being a little slow for both offenses early because both defenses are pretty exceptional. Or I could see them actually getting ahead a little early. And then our defense, just knowing our defense, sometimes they take a second to get in the game. Not trashing them. Obviously, we have one of the better defenses in the country, but this is a great offense. And I think we're gonna go down to the wire. And honestly, if this was on a neutral field, I would have a hard time not picking Texas Tech. But damn it, do I think Rice-Eccles Stadium can be a difference maker. If you are a Texas Tech fan watching this and you are heading to this game, get freaking ready, bro. Because Rice-Eccles gets so loud and so intense. If you want an example of this, I want you to go watch Utah versus Oregon. I believe it was 2021, right before halftime. Britton Covey catches a punt return, runs it back for a touchdown. I am not kidding you. My screen was shaking from the noise in the stadium. I was watching at home on TV. It gets so intense in Rice-Eccles. When the games matter, we care so much. Obviously, so many Big 12 teams care, but it is like there is a reason people tell you you do not want to go into Rice-Eccles. And I think that's the difference. I think we win in overtime or, end of the game, fourth quarter, late in the game. One team needs, probably us need to score. They need to make a stop. We get it done, or vice versa, something like that. But late in the game, 34-31, Utah pulls it off. But God, if I told you I had a ton of confidence in how it's going to go, these teams are very untested, but both look very, very good on paper. So we're going to have to see how this goes, guys. I hope you appreciated the breakdown. I'm out of here. Like the video. That's going to help get it out to more fans. Comment down below. What are your score predictions? What are your thoughts on the matchup? Subscribe if you haven't already. We put out a ton of Utah Utes football content. I'm out of here. Go Utes.